Yeah, what's happening, everybody? This is yeah, man. Hey, we got a special edition for you guys today, coming to you live from Vegas, and man, this is episode 69 of Expert Mentors Live.
69 in Vegas.
Super excited for today's episode. We've got Bobby D, the franchise, on with us. Man, you know, I don't get the opportunity to sit side by side when we do these episodes, so super excited for today's episode. We get to rock it out with you. We're going to talk a little new agent coaching program as an agent attraction tool.
Yes, cool. Absolutely.
We'll also answer some questions for you guys. If you have anything in the Q&A, throw it in there, throw the chat. We'll monitor it and answer anything. And so, man, say
what's
hello
up
to the Honey Badger Nation.
Honey Badger Nation, what's going on? Super excited to be on. Thank you for the opportunity. Out here in Vegas for the leadership event. So it's cool that we get to sit in this little Airbnb in the backyard and you know, talk shop, man. And I'm really excited about this subject. I think it will help a lot of you guys grow your business, and then we'll go into it when you're ready, man.
Yeah, man. I think give everybody a little bit of backstory on you know, just kind of your history and kind of bringing up to date. You know, you've got a lot of credentials on like the coaching side of things. If you guys checked out the bio here, and just give some context on that, because I think it's really important for everybody.
Sure, absolutely. So I actually started in the business around 18 years ago. That was a long time ago. Back in 2002, I started in the mortgage business and quickly opened up a mortgage company. And then, you know, when the market crashed, I kind of actually left the business for a while and did a bunch of entertainment industry stuff. I don't know if you guys caught the Honey Badger Records music video we put out, Copies for Closers, but you know, that wasn't an accident. You know, I come from a video production, music production background. So I did that for a while, and then through wholesaling, through investments, I actually got back into the business. And funny enough, one of the girls that's in the house in the Airbnb right now recruited me at an event. Kind of funny story. She had a girl hit on me at the bar, right? Yeah. She heard me talking about real estate. She had a girl hit on me at the bar. So that's my weakness, right? The alcohol and the women, right? And then, so I think the girl likes me. I exchange numbers. I go to text the girl later that week, and Jen texts me back and says, "Oh, you know, my friend's phone was broken. She gave you my number, but she's like, you should come to my office and we should meet." And I was like, okay, this girl's kind of a shark. I kind of like her, you know, and I met with her, and it happened to be the office that Gil Ramos was in. So I ended up hanging my license with Exit Realty at the time.
What year was this?
This was about 4 years ago. It's 2015.
Okay. 2015.
So I got back into the game full-time as a realtor. And after I joined up, you know, I got such a vibe in our office. You know, we had such a great energy there. So I wasn't even going there to hang my license. I was just like, oh man, I like left there 5 minutes later. I was like, man, I got to hang my license here. And it's funny because Jen kept saying, you need to meet my broker, Gil. You need to meet my broker, Gil. I'm like, honey, I'll meet your broker one day. Just calm down.
So I don't want to move past that, because I think it's important, because you guys do have an amazing culture, right? I mean, you could even just tell in the video that you guys put together. But what was so special about it, that based upon like your previous experience, other companies and things, but then like you, I mean, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
Like when you walk in, you're like, holy shit, yeah, something's magical here. Well, I don't know what it is.
I think as you get older, you start trusting your instincts and the vibes. I'm big now. I say energy match all the time. Like what you need is people who have an energy match with you, right? Whether it's a vendor that you're partnering up with or it's agent that you're bringing on, you want somebody who's your tribe and your energy. And when I went in that day, I actually saw some familiar faces in the office walk through. I even liked the way the aesthetics were, like the way that the interior was decorated, and just the meeting that I had, just little things like that. And literally when I left there, I had that energy and a vibe, and I just learned to trust that over time. Like I always tell people, I didn't even ask what the splits were. Like I was just like, hey, I'm going to hang my license here. Then like, oh, do you want us to go through the process? I'm like, no, I'm like, just give me the paperwork. I'm good. I'm in the right place. So, and then like I said, about a week later after joining up, I met Gil Ramos, which, you know, Jen kept telling me, yeah, I got to meet my broker. I was like, whatever. I was like, I don't need to meet your broker. And then sure enough, me and Gil go out to lunch one day and we're talking, and I could just tell this guy's a huge dreamer. You know, he has these huge goals. He's Puerto Rican. I'm Puerto Rican. And suddenly this like kind of, well, he hates when I say this word, like kind of bromance started, you know, we had a little bromance started, and we're like, oh, cool. And then I'm like talking to him about investments. He's like, oh yeah, we'll take that down. You know, Gil, he's like, we'll take that investment down together, man. I'm like, dude, I love this guy. I'm like, this guy's a star. Right. And it was cool. So then I kind of built the relationship up with him over the years. And he saw that I was taking kind of a more leadership role in the office, an influencer in the office. And we knew at one point around a year or two in, that we're going to be business partners in something. We didn't know it was going to be XP, but we're like, we're going to do investments together at least. And then eventually I was telling him, you know, it's funny because EXP came along and I always explained it like it solved the income problem in real estate, right? You know, with this residual income, this passive income, it solved the income problem. But at that time I was telling Gil, if I want to break free, I have to solve this. I have to get some consistent income coming in. And he's like, you know, I've been looking for a talent development director. In other words, a guy to lead all the new agents, to mentor the new agents.
Give some context on how big of an organization that you walked into with Gil, and then just kind of at that time.
Sure. Well, 4 years ago, I think Gil's probably around, you know, probably 60 agents, but now, you know, by now we had grown it to about 120 agents. And so we saw this and we're mentoring agents and create an actual program called the Talent Development Program. And Gil said, well, how about that kind of becomes your team? Like, you know, you coach them through their first couple of deals, take a referral fee, and then they graduate the program and combine it with our coaching ecosystem. So I did that for the past 2 years. And it was one of the best. I mean, it was good for, you know, making some consistent income, but I think the real value in it was I was coaching for 2-hour seminars every single week.
That's
so
awesome.
I got good at creating content very quickly and delivering 2-hour classes.
Right.
And so my public speaking game.
So what was that process? I mean, did you like, I think this is kind of cool. I'm just intrigued on, so if you're putting together 2-hour training seminars every week for the entire organization, kind of what was your process to determine topic and then create that content? Sure.
So I could tell you that at first it wasn't that easy because I have, you know, if you're a disc personality profile guy, I kind of have split personalities. I'm a very high I, if you guys can't tell. And I'm also a high C, which is a weird thing. So I like details and things like that. Yeah. So I used to plan it out more, and I used to suffer a lot because I'm like, dang, you know, this is a lot of work to try to put 2 hours together. And then what I realized is I can't do this and be happy. So I have to learn how to more create talking points, and then build stories behind them. So people learn through stories the best. So now I could put something on a slide and know the story that I'm going to tell and what I'm going to teach through the story. So that really helps. So stories, having a story for each point is an easy way to create content. And then I was creating content. Really, I was listening to the agents during the week a lot. So it's like whatever problems they were bringing me or whatever questions they had, I started to say, okay, this is obviously a thing that's happening here now. But I've taught everything from, you know, I taught a commercial real estate basics class the other day, which people love. So there are a lot of people want to know about commercial, but they make such a big deal about it. I taught a negotiation class. I do a real estate math 101 class, right? So people who I like totally mind shift people because, and I always ask at the beginning, like who thinks they're bad at math? And then I just like crush their bullshit story, right? So by the end, that person is actually the one answering the questions first, raising their hand, like, I got it.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry for shaking the table.
No, you're good.
I get passionate. But so I've taught a little bit of everything. I kind of listened to it. And now I've actually got a pretty good book of classes that I can now, because after the first year, you do enough classes where you can actually repeat them. I'm getting new agents all the time. So I don't have to redo everything.
No, that's, man, thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of the nugget that stood out to me, and I'm glad you said it because this is kind of what I was looking for, is that you listen to what challenges, struggles that your organization is having, right? And then that's where it's easy for you to go solve that problem. That's if you guys are struggling with creating content, exactly what Bobby just said is that find their problem and create your content around their solution. And so, man, thank you for sharing that, because that's what I was kind of looking for.
And one thing Gil always says, you know, you only have to be one chapter ahead, guys. Like if you want to become a coach and if you have the personality to coach and you want to use it as an agent attraction tool, remember, you only have to be one chapter ahead, which means you just have to read the chapter first and create a class from it, because especially for new agents, everything's new and it's vibrant and they're learning new stuff. So, you know, you say, hey, I just looked at this, you know, manual, this course, or this Tony Robbins course. I could just kind of recreate this and then deliver it, and you'll still add massive, massive value.
Right, for sure, absolutely. So you're stepping into this role. How long had you been with Gil when you started creating that and started running with that?
About 2 years. So I created it 2 years ago, and we had been together 2 years before that.
Gotcha. So you've been running with that. I know we want to get into the meat kind of what the topic is, but I think it's kind of important to unpack that backstory and that you guys just didn't run with it. Now, what other coaching training experience, like the courses and things that you were going through that just kind of helped propel you from that dynamic?
Yeah, I actually really excited you asked that question. So I would tell you right now, Tony, I call him Tony Ramos. Gil Ramos and I are Gil Ramos and I are Tony Robbins freaks. So I can tell you that going through Tony Robbins Mastery University. So we've been to about 7 Tony Robbins events, Business Mastery, Date with Destiny, Life Mastery, Wealth Mastery, UPW 3 times. We're going to take another group of 100 people to unleash the power within in Miami in November. Because here's the deal, guys, you know, especially when you guys are building this EXP model, remember that this is a growth model. This is a high energy model, and people want, and personal development has to be at the core for a couple of reasons. One, because you will attract growth-minded people, right? People who are attracted to growth are attracted to personal development. So when you have that as a string within your organization, people which like, I just want to roll with these guys. Doesn't matter what the brand is. They're going to be like, dude, I want to grow and I want to be with these guys. The other part is in particular for new agents is the new agent's problem isn't skills. Right. It's the shit they tell themselves. Right. So how many times, I mean, some of you guys out there have talked to a new agent or even an agent who's been in it for years, who you're trying to get out of the struggle, and you realize they come to you for a plan. You give them a plan. And then they come back 2 weeks later. They're like, oh, I don't know. And then you ask them how much they did of the plan and they haven't done it. Well, that's because they went home. They told themselves they weren't worth it and decided and found, you know, created some stories, you know, with a really shitty ending and decided not to take the action. Right. Like that broker's not going to talk to me, or, you know, that client's not going to do this. You're like, dude, I'm like, you know, sometimes they look at you like you're fake positive. I'm like, I'm not fake positive. I'm like, you're creating a story with the end before you even start. I'm like, you're delusional. You're the crazy one, not me. You know, so that's what you have. The personal development part's important for those two reasons, because you want to attract growth-minded people. And on top of that, it is the foundation for everything.
I love that, you know, and that's always been a big factor for us, you know, like even, you know, it's evolved and tweaked over a little bit, but it's growth mindset. You know, we've called it from our values perspective, learn like you're going to live forever, and just that constant focus. And it's so important. It's just like you said, because it's that belief. And when they have the limiting negative beliefs, then that drives behavior, and all behavior is our habits. Right. So if we've got shitty beliefs, we're going to have shitty habits, and we're going to get shitty results.
That's right.
And so that's
a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. And so to me, that's powerful. You know, it's kind of a theme, right? Because you hear, you know, we talk with Al a lot, and Al, you know, believes he's in, you know, the personal development, building human beings, right? Business. That's what he's in. And then, you know, we had Gil on a couple episodes ago, and he was like, man, it's just the relationship, right? That's all he's talking about. He said, I don't care. It's just the relationship. I'm just going to find out where you're struggling. I'm going to help you solve your problem. And he said, that's all I do. I just help people solve problems.
That's it. It's and even for agent attraction, I mean, I tell all the agents are like, oh, you know, what's this magical thing that you do to like get people to sit down with you? And I was like, well, first of all, I'll make a friend. Yeah. I'll make a friend. You know, my agent attraction philosophy is 3 is make a friend, find a way to add value, invite them to something. It's simple. It's it. Simple. You know, because if you're, you know, it's just like a client, same thing with a client or anything else. If you're just looking for that close, they can smell it, you know, and it's just not genuine. It's not authentic. Right. But if I meet you, I just want to know if you're are you a good person? Do you have great energy? I learn your story. And then oftentimes I'm just connecting them to something they need. Like, hey, you know, oh, you're looking to build a team. You know what? Do you want me to connect you with the #1 Zillow broker in the Southeast? I was like, because I'm sure he'd open up his playbook to you and let you know. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna set you up with Gil and whatever. Or I want to join this board. I met a independent broker the other day, and she's like, and we're in South Downtown Orlando. And I was like, oh, I'm on the South Downtown Development Board. And she's like, oh my God, I would love to be on that. I'm like, would you? I was like, I'll connect you with the director tomorrow. And then I just connected her, and she was so impressed that I followed up. She was so impressed that I made a connection. And
there's
then
a nugget, follow up.
And then we were having lunch like a week later, you know, and developing that relationship a little bit more. And then it kind of opens up the gate for you to be able to talk about the model if they ask and as you go forward.
Yeah. And I think Gil might have even said this. I mean, you guys probably have it as like, you know, what's the first rule of Fight Club? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first rule of EXP is we don't talk about EXP.
Ever.
It's so good. Yeah. It's a no pitch.
It is. It's amazing. And it's like you said, you know, getting to build a relationship, getting to have a friend, build that relationship, find out the real struggles, the limiting beliefs, the problems, and then you can kind of help solve along that way. So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
So you guys are, you know, making the shift. What, and maybe we can come back around to this question, because I'd be curious, because you guys brought on a ton of agents prior to EXP, right? Something was working. Well, has anything changed, or is it just more of the same?
It's definitely more of the same. Like, we definitely turned up, like, you know, EXP is an energy driven model. So once you infuse the energy and people feel like, oh my gosh, we're in this growth model, it's funny what happens to the brokerage. You know, people's production goes up, and then people start seeing the value of growing residual income, and then they're connecting on a massive scale. So going back to the beginning, I always told people this, even when we were another franchise or whatever, is like, you know, pick people, don't pick brokerages, you know, like don't pick logos, pick people, right? And the thing is that, you know, you could go to 5 exit realty brokerages and you're not going to have the same vibe as we have in our office, because it stems from the leaders. So Gil was a guy that always believed in personal development, investing in people, and culture, right? So we're both Puerto Rican. We love to party. We love to have a good time. We love to connect with people. And that's what I felt when I got there. So now with the EXP model and switching over, so I think in the end, about 70 people transferred over from our original group. And just so you guys know, I mean, those weren't all frontline. You know, we came from a sponsorship model and exit. So we honored everybody's sponsors. Yeah, we honored everybody's sponsorship. So, you know, it wasn't like we came in with this incredible frontline. We still have a huge fire under our butt, because being a big organization, we have fixed expenses. So just know that we took a big risk imploding what was there to grow something way bigger picture. Yeah, and I can tell you guys, in 6 months, we went from 70 agents, we're about 330 now in 6 months. Right, nationwide, New York, Oregon, Jacksonville, and all that. So now what's happening is we're saying, okay, we're growing so fast. So what's happening is we're starting to systemize things, and we can talk a little bit about this today, because the talent development program has just recently gone through a change, because I've realized that my role has started to switch a little bit. So I can't be the guy directly taking all the calls for all the deals, but I can remain a coaching figure in the office. And I'm leveraging now the EXP mentor, and I'm also leveraging our vendors as well, and creating one-on-one. So we found a couple vendors that are energy matches with us, understand EXP.
So yeah, unpack that a little bit. How are we using them? How are you guys using them specifically?
Okay.
Let's give some details.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is a huge nugget right here, guys. So if your guys are transferring an organization, especially if you have fixed expenses, you have to do certain things to buffer expenses. I mean, we've got like 8,000 square feet of downtown office space. We've got office managers. Awesome. We have all this stuff. So we decided, okay, we have to build some partnerships with at least the title company and a mortgage company. And we got to make sure that these people are energy matched, because this is a growth model. So everything we do is heavily event-based. Okay. So the title company, Celebration Title Group, which we work with, is heavily event-based. Like they're really, really creative, throw awesome events. Like they just did an event the other day, how to do your first podcast type of stuff. Stuff that people want to be a part of.
It's all in their mind, right? They just don't know how to take the first step, right? And you know, what those actionable items to get going.
Yeah, people love this stuff, and they have a great venue, and they have great people there. So we do a ton of events with them, and it circles around to bring them more business, which is profitable to us. The same thing with the mortgage company. And by the way, all these people are Tony Robbins people too. They've all, you know,
it's
like
alignment.
It's alignment. You know, the owner of the title group has gone to Tony Robbins Business Mastery, and a bunch of people from Home First Lending, which is our mortgage partner, have gone there. So I'm leveraging them. I'm actually setting up one-on-ones with them as part of a 4-week onboarding. So I have them doing a one-on-one goal setting session with the owner of the title company. I have them doing a mortgage 101 basics class with the mortgage lender. Why? Because I want to build those relationships with them, but also leverage them so I'm not the only figure. Right? Because at one point, if you guys are thinking about doing this and you guys are growing a big organization, we're now getting to the point where, like, you know, we're here in Vegas, we got to travel a little bit more, and we got to help some of the other people on board. You know, we got a New York crew, which is huge. So we got to set up trips to go do classes with them and stuff like that. So I've now created a launch book that's like a 4-week onboard that leverages the EXP mentor. And obviously, if it's not a new agent, then they don't have to do the mentor part of it, but all the 4-week onboarding activities, which is heavily based around learning KV Core, organizing what we call your Dream 100 list, which is your sphere of influence and all the people.
Gotcha.
And building your brand.
So touch on that real quick with the Dream 100, because I know a lot of people talk about that, but what actionable items, once they create that, do you have them do?
Sure. So just the act of organizing your sphere of influence can get you business. That's what I tell all the agents. I'm like, you don't understand, because you forget about people. People don't understand how many people you forget about. So what I have them do is do a simple spreadsheet, you know, first name, last name, email, phone number, and physical address. So physical address is the kind of subtle reason why you're going to call these people, because most of the time you don't have their physical address. Okay. So now you don't have to have like this weird call. You're just like, hey, I just got into real estate, or I'm building my real estate business, realize I have to organize all the people that are in my circle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be able to send you some cards and some stuff to keep up with you. Can I get your physical address? And that'll start a conversation. Then if you're new into real estate, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were in real estate. And then boom, you'll probably get 3 deals just from organizing the list.
Man, that's a ninja move right there.
That's a ninja move. Okay. So you're going to download all your contacts from your Gmail, whatever your email provider is, from your phone, from your LinkedIn, and then go through your Facebook and do that. And so you should have, even if you just have 50, but they're people that know, like, and trust you. Yep. Now you have them organized. Now you probably got a few deals and some appointments set up because you want to catch up with them, coffee, lunches, come by the office type stuff. But then take that list and then upload it into KV Core. So if you're looking at KV Core and you go to the top right of KV Core, you see that there's a KV Core quick start. So now in the first week, I have them register for their login for KV Core. And then the second week, they're going through the 25 video course through KV Core. And we have people who teach that, but I realize is, EXP has great tools. Like, we don't all have to do it ourselves. So I'm trying to do a mix so they don't feel like we're just pushing them off onto tools. So they do, meet with people in person. They go to our coaching classes. But hey, by the way, it's up to you as an agent to take some responsibility and go through this KV Core quick start to learn how to create your profile and upload your contacts. And that's really going to be your first foundation for getting organic leads.
Yeah, getting them to take action for sure. So no, thanks for unpacking that. So you're talking about building the relationships with your key people that you're kind of running them through. What is it that you guys are doing? I guess I feel like we're kind of bouncing in and out here, but let's go to the front to kind of that whole linear process of what you guys are doing marketing wise to leverage coaching for the agent attraction side. Like how are we, using it in marketing efforts? Like you said, you do a lot of events. So is it just primarily just communicating to the community, the agent community, and inviting them to events, and then it starts from there? So kind of talk through, if I were to start this and wanted to go this route, what would I do?
So just so you guys know, I mean, you can start small and build bigger, right? So we had an ecosystem built. Like we do classes every Tuesday, every Thursday for 2 hours, right? And what we've built in, and this is what you can start with. What I would start with, if you guys aren't used to coaching and having classes, it starts with lunch and learns, right? So partner up with your preferred vendor and do lunch and learns. We do one every second, third, and fourth Friday of the month, in particular for a newer agent. So Gil teaches one, I teach one called Game of Homes. And then Jennifer inside also teaches one the third Friday. So this is everything. Remember, every event now, we've opened up every coaching class, every social event, everything to invite other agents from other places, because we don't actually talk about EXP in these. We might plant seeds, right? And Game of Homes, I plant seeds about retiring in the game and how there's a new model out there that has fixed a lot of these problems, what I call the income problem in real estate, right? So I say that, real estate doesn't have income, it has may come, right? That deal may come, that check may come, right? Because if you ask a real estate agent when the deal's closing, they're like, well, it may be next Friday, it might not, it could blow up, right? And then I ask, who is the employees in the room? And I'm like, when's your next check coming? They're like, oh, next Friday. I'm like, and you know what it's going to be, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's income. Yeah. I'm like, our stuff make them. So I don't touch on EXP on any of these lunch and learns, but what it allows us to do is to invite people. So if you want to start small, do lunch and learns, right? Yes. So Gil's is 100%. Called Profits in Your Pocket. Mine is called Game of Homes. And then Jen's is called like becoming a supercharged agent.
Do you keep the same topic every month, or do you kind of tweak them up a little bit?
No, we tweak them up a little bit, but for the most part, it should be new people coming in. So we have people calling the list. So we get lists of the people who are just getting their license. Those are available through different systems. And we have people who call and personally invite. Perfect. And then get all your people trained that you're in an attend and invite system. Okay. Right. So we have classes going on, but not just so you can show up. It's so you can bring somebody. Gotcha. Right. So as you get a rhythm going, you'll start getting like, we're averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 people in these lunch and learns, which is all you need, because you're probably going to get 3 to 4 that are going to be like, hey, I want to roll with you guys. Yeah. The other magical part about this, guys, is it gives you a chance to show the energy and the passion of the office, because what I think is happening is that we're able to filter out people who aren't our tribe. If they hear Gil Ramos, if you're not ready to roll with a Gil Ramos,
you either align with somebody like Gil or you're out the door.
Or you're done, because you're going to get intimidated by that. Yeah. Because Gil's a deep personality. he's looking to make you grow. And if you're in that thing like, oh, I'm scared to grow, you probably be like, this guy's too much for me. Or I might come in there and talk heavily about mindset and just give a different kind of passion and energy. And they might be like, okay, I'm down to grow. I want to be with this tribe. Yeah. So it's cool because we keep the energy in the office right and the vibe right. You don't want to get people.
You do the classes in the office?
We do some in the office, and now what I've started to do some offsite. So our title company, Celebration Title Group, has a great venue. They did is like, in downtown Orlando, they have a lot of buildings that are kind of like old, almost look like old houses.
Awesome. Yep.
So they did this like living room lounge thing upstairs with like a side room that's for trainings, and it's just perfect. We bring in food, people are socializing like they're in a living room, and then we bring them all into the thing. So I like offsite, so people feel a little less guarded there.
How long are the trainings?
I usually do about 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, but that includes lunch. So, if you do a lunch and learn, you bring them in half an hour for lunch at the beginning. People are eating and you're shaking people's hands, you're meeting them in person, and then suddenly you're up on stage talking and training them, and then boom, and it's good to bring somebody like Gil was at my last one, and he's also like watching the room, seeing who he needs to talk to, that he feels is somebody he needs to close.
Have somebody, you got somebody that's presenting, moderating, but also have somebody that's just watching and paying attention, who's engaged, who's not, so you can, clearly know who to go follow up with.
Exactly right.
No, I love that. And I think that's easy for anybody to get started. And if you don't have an office, man, I guarantee you in every city, in every small town, there is a cool spot somewhere that, you can
and vendors are a good source of this. So we got Downline in Oregon, and right now they're using Regis, so we have that provided through EXP. But I'm trying to get our title company to open up an office up in Oregon, and they might be able to do a shared office space type of thing, because they can have like a lounge there. Awesome, and so now you're bringing agents in there if you create a good partnership with them, and it's all profitable because the more agents you bring to connect with the title company, the more you get credit for those deals, and they have a space to work. So leverage your vendors and your lenders as well. I think title companies is probably a little bit easier than a lender, but that's another way to get office space, or find an independent broker who already has it and get them into the EXP.
Yeah, and it can be a gradual progression up. Like even for us with what we're doing, and even on the coaching side of things, I mean, we're 100% virtual. Jay has an office space, but he strategically got it, and he just got it, and it's at the new Cowboy. It's at the Cowboys headquarters, and it's the Cowboys office space. So we leverage and use that setting and that background. And, like I don't go there every day, but if I, with clients or whatever, like if you guys came into town, that's where we would go hang out. Yeah. Right. So you can be strategic about that space. Okay. So we're getting into a rhythm. We're doing our live training events. Kind of what else in addition to are you guys starting to do?
Well, like I mentioned before, we are starting to systemize it now so that we're able to pull away a little bit. So I'm not the only figure that that the agents are relying on for that. So that, we created a launch book, like I mentioned before, so that we can kind of break away and help other people get in there. And then what we're also doing is we're doing agent attraction classes for the people who are already in our program too, because what you're going to find is that a lot of your agents they're excited about EXP, but I was surprised to hear some people who are doing great at attracting agents that actually don't understand revenue share.
Right. Not at all.
They don't understand it. They don't really understand it. So what we're doing now is every third Wednesday, Gil is doing an agent attraction class for the people that are already with us in EXP and all our families. So we joined up with like 5-6 brokerages in town. So we invite everybody, cool. Hey, come in here. We're going to be coaching on this because we want to help everyone and build that system.
And I think because that will continue to evolve forever. Yes. Right. So that class is like something that will get better each and every month, because you guys are iterating so fast. What's working, what's not working. Hey, oh shit, those guys are doing that. Cool. Let's implement it. How is that working? Right. And then just being able to continuously push each other to be better in that course. I love that. And that's a great point, being able to teach and coach and train on the agent attraction side of things, because like you said, man, they just don't know.
Yeah. And I actually start talking to the agents about becoming coaches themselves and leaders. So, the whole point of this is to replicate yourself. So I'm telling you from day one, even the new agents, I'm like, hey, by the way, you guys are going to become leaders and coaches too. At some point, you're going to be teaching a class. I said, you guys are going to learn some stuff out there that's going to be huge nuggets for other people. So get ready to start teaching agents, because you only have to be a few chapters ahead, because we're going to be bringing in new agents all the time, and they're going to be looking at you as a leader.
Courses.
And as you are an agent, and as you attract agents even to your own downline, you're going to want to be that leader that replicates leaders.
Yes.
Right. So I'm instilling certain things. I think awesome. If anything, as you go along this, you're going to start creating more systems and things that you want to hammer into their minds at a very early start, because you'll realize that it'll pay dividends long term, rather than going back and trying to teach them that. The minute they get in, it's like, this is what we expect of you. Like, you're already a leader in our eyes. Like, we're going to build you up to be this. Yeah,
man, that's a great point. That's the Donald Miller's, the story brand, right? You're the guide. You're not the hero. Right?
That's right.
You're helping them grow and on their path. And it's not about you. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, right? They want to keep playing hero, and it ain't about being the hero. It's about being the guide that's helping these people grow and solve the problems and challenges that they're facing. And so, because if not, man, like, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. You'd be back in Orlando teaching a class.
Right. Exactly right. I couldn't make it out here. And and by the way, we talked a lot about mindset, but you should have somebody who actually knows how to do deals. That can be somebody who they can call, because I think that one of my strengths is deal strategy. When they come to me and they're trying to submit a winning offer, or they're in a negotiation before the inspection period runs out, and
it's the funnest part.
It's the funnest part, right? So they're telling me, I'm like, okay, well, I'll find out who the personalities they're dealing with. How we're going to do this negotiation. I tell them, you're going to call them and say this, okay? Then you're going to wait an hour. And then, I'm strategizing like that. So I do think it's important to have somebody who can actually help them close deals. I mean, I do a lot of mindset stuff, but there's guys that'll start with you guys, and I got people that have deals in their first week, because they're just like go-getters like that.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to have somebody in there. And so maybe, if you don't want to be everything to everyone, then put somebody in each one of those roles, so everybody takes a little bit of that. And that's what I've started to do with the vendors, with the EXP leveraging. And then the other people that they meet with in the coaching ecosystem.
Man, I love it. It's leveraging the resources and the people around you to help them continuously grow, to where you're not, like you said, you're not trying to know everything to everyone. You're staying in your strength, what you're good at, and then leveraging what other people are really good at as well. That's a heck of a nugget there for sure.
Thanks, buddy.
So so moving to that point, and I think this is important. So, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And so if the solo agent out there, like, would that be just, hey, get the lunch and learn in the calendar, commit to once a month, commit to then twice a month, and 3 times a month? Is that kind of where you would say that?
You're saying like an individual agent who wants to kind of have that as a well, obviously, without a huge backing, you're going to have to start small. But I would say, yes, schedule your first lunch, schedule your first event, because, if I've learned anything from, having a business partner who's a deep personality is, you kind of just set the date and then figure out along the way.
And I'm glad you said that. That's it. Because if you don't set the date, you'll never do it.
Yeah. Like Tony Robbins says, whatever gets scheduled gets done. And so, once you put it in the calendar, you'll be surprised how it shifts you, and you'll start creating your first lunch and learn. So you start creating it, and it doesn't matter if there's 2 people there. It doesn't matter if there's 1. You just adjust with it, So you might say, oh, I have 2 people. Like, if, what, if I only have 2 people, let's meet at this, coffee shop and do a little smaller thing, or, whatever the case may be. But the magic is in doing it. Mm-hmm. And not only in doing it, but doing it consistently. So, when you're coaching new agents and stuff like that, what I tell them is I say, look, this is working out. Right? Yep. There's no magic weight loss pill. There's no magic. I go, the only magic to this, you're doing your 69th show. The magic of expert mentors is consistency, right? Because that the show's coming, right? And as you start that train moving, and as that starts moving forward, you're going to start getting more people, and you're going to start getting more comfortable. And on top of that, you'll start learning little nuggets. The other thing that I would do if I was just an individual agent, which I do personally, is especially if you're a high I like me, you should be going to events all the time. This is a very heavily event-based business. So I literally can go to almost any event and find a realtor, and they find me. It's just, like I said, I'm out there to make a friend, so I went to a lawyer event the other day, talking to some lawyers, blah, blah, blah. And then I ended up going outside. There's this girl smoking a cigarette. And I started a conversation with her. She's like, you know, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm in real estate. She's like, oh, I'm in real estate too. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. And then we just kind of veered off in conversation. She was talking about some life stuff. So I kind of did the Tony Robbins thing, you know, with her. And she says to me, she's like, hey, can I just give you the $200 that I'm giving my therapist every hour? I was like, well, tell you what, keep your money, join our crew, and you can get this every day for free, you know? And she's like, you know what? You know, I had somebody else try to explain this EXP thing. She's like, I wasn't getting it. She's like, but I want to roll with you guys. And that goes back to that same kind of personal development growth thing. So every week, look, guys, if you want to start, you know, what I tell agents, start a regimen, right? So if you've never worked out before, all you really got to do is get your ass up and go walk, right? And then do it every day, right? So do a half an hour walk every day. That's what I feel. So if you've never done this before, I'd say set up one lunch and learn for, you know, your first lunch and learn, and plan on doing it that time, that day, for every month after that. If you can fit more, great. And then go to at least 1 or 2 events a week where you're meeting a new agent, where you're, you know, and you're just expanding. Cause I have we do our top 25, you know, kind of like the wealth chart, but I just do it on a Google spreadsheet. You know, get your top 25, your brokers, you know, agents that you talk to or have an acquaintance with. And then I keep adding to it. You know, I meet that girl at the event and I'm like, oh, she goes on my list. I'm like, I need to follow up with her. And then whenever an event, by the way, you can hijack events. So think about this, guys. If you're a one-man show, you don't have to do all this yourself. There's events going on all around you. I told you, make a friend, add value, and invite them to another event that somebody else is throwing.
Yes.
Right. Hey, you know, they're doing this, you know, they're bringing in a major speaker here. You want to go together? Man.
And today's no different. I mean, we're sitting at this Airbnb house. There's probably 35, 40 people sitting inside. You know, Al's over here on the phone. You know, Jay's just landed. He's, you know, on his way from the airport. And, you know, I invited 4 or 5 people over here.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and it's like, hey, well, I'll be there. Well, you just guys come over and connect. Right. And so it is, you've got to be really good at, all you got to do is be good at inviting.
Good at inviting, and then go to high energy things or provide high energy things. I mean, here's the deal. If you were in our Airbnb right now, like you would just feel a vibe. Like right when you walk in, you're like, dude, everybody's talking and laughing and eating breakfast. And, you know, we got Tony Figueroa, our Orlando crew, cooking up, you know, brunch for everybody. And there's music playing in the background. And it's like, dude, if you're that tribe, you're going to be like, hey man, I just like hanging with these people, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I like this. It's powerful. Anything else, you know, that, I mean, we can sit here and talk mindset all day. Anything that's like, you know, like really key for you that like you see in a lot of agents that you really challenge them with the limiting beliefs, but what are some, like, is there any like actionable exercises that you like, you know, point them in the direction to kind of work on and think about with their mindset?
Well, you know, I think the first thing you got to do is get somebody's story. You know, I mean, that's when I bring them in. I want to hear what they're thinking, and they'll let you kind of know what their limiting stuff is, you know, because, you know, and this is why the Tony Robbins stuff has been so important, because I'm able to identify it very, very quickly just by their language, right? So, you know, Tony talks about if you change your state, you got to change your physiology, your focus, and your language. And usually when they come in, I mean, I had a young girl. And we're doing a great job, by the way, with this coaching stuff. We're attracting some really young agents. Like, I mean, I'm talking 22, 23-year-olds who are getting into real estate. And, you know, like in Orlando, the average in our realtor associations, like, you know, like 53 or 63, you know, and here we are with 23-year-olds. But I could just tell by the way she sat down, and then she was like, and I asked her something, and she went like this. I go, you were holding your breath, weren't you? And she's like, yeah. I was like, man, you causing yourself a lot of anxiety, huh?
That's right.
You know, I said, you know, and I actually talked to her about breathing. You know, I said, you know, you really got to watch that, you know, because it's changed. I'm telling you, like, it sounds crazy, but like in the last 6 years, my anxiety has been lowered by like 1,000% because I breathe properly in and out through my nose and through my diaphragm. And so when you get people who are breathing through their mouth and through their chest, it causes anxiety. Your body doesn't know that you're not in a fight or flight state.
That's right.
You know, so what happens? Your mind releases adrenaline, you know, starts breaking down your body, and you go into this vicious cycle of anxiety and even physical. You know, you'll find people that cause themselves high amounts of stress that have a lot of physical ailments. You know, I mean, you know, I got a mom like this, you know, like, you know, it's like something new every week. Well, that's the stress, that's the dis-ease, right?
Yeah.
So I usually identify their story. And then what I do is I usually, based on that, like I said, I have my onboarding program right now. So I look at them and I give them one task that I want them to do consistently. Like, I think if you overwhelm people, like if you look at our launch book, I may be giving you 5 things per week to do. I mean, some of them are, you have to unpack a little bit. Like I totally jacked that Kyle Handy top 10 things to do when you get into EXP, you know, but there's 10 things that they have to do within there, right? But I try to make sure I don't overwhelm them, because sometimes we give them these like 1,000, you know, item checklists. And
that's a great point.
And it's just too much. You know, they're drinking through a fire hose. They're already scared about getting into the industry. So I say, hey, look, you're going to hear a bunch of stuff in the next few weeks. All I want you to focus on is doing this one thing consistently and correctly. You know, and like I said, I'll go back right now. If there's one thing that somebody would have taught me, you know, as far as actionable item, you know, is get organized with your CRM. KV Core is such a powerful CRM, and I'm such a high I that I'm not organized like that. And then I kind of go off
that was a great nugget.
You know, I go off of kind of referral business and stuff, but that's not a good way to operate if you can teach them early. So that's what I do. I kind of just talk to them where they are. And I think that if you're going to be a coach, I think you should be involved in a lot of personal development stuff, because I can't give you one formula. It's just, you have to identify what is the thing that they're suffering over, right? What is that story they're telling themselves? Help them identify the fact that they brought that story in from years ago. It isn't real estate causing you this. It isn't this. It's you came in here believing you didn't have what it takes, and you're telling yourself this shit when you go home. I was like, it's a lie. It's just a lie. And we can reprogram it.
So besides Tony, is there anything in particular that you would recommend, you know, somebody consume to kind of start getting an understanding to where they have some self-awareness? Because, you know, I believe if you have things that work for you, then you can coach and teach that to somebody else when you see it. Is there something like, besides Tony stuff, that you would like?
There's definitely. It's tough because Tony's one of the only guys I bought into and spent money on legit to learn, because I loved his style. It really connected with me. But they're the majors, you know, the Les Browns, you know, out there, the Eric Thomases and all that stuff. What I would say is it's kind of different for every personality. You know, I just say find yours. You know, like I'm not a huge Grant Cardone fan, but Gil likes him because he's a D personality. You can tell that Grant's a D. That's cool. It's whatever you get attracted to. Like we've been to, you know, 10X Growth Con with Grant Cardone. You know, we've been all the Tony stuff. You know, we're obviously doing masterminds with NAEA. Dude, just start plugging in with NAEA and these guys and going to the masterminds, and you'll find out. I mean, think about, you know, Gil coming up there and doing the fuck Henry speech. You know,
crushed it.
Dude, you don't need
everybody off guard.
You don't need Tony Robbins. You got Tony Ramos. You know, like these guys, Kitchens, I've heard him speak. I've heard Jay Kinder speak. Dude, just plug in. I mean, that's a word that I've been using a lot, and it's plug in. I mean, if it's an energy-driven model and EXP is doing events, you should be out here in Vegas. If you're in Honey Badger Nation, you should be here.
And you know, it's a great point. I had the opportunity to work with Jim Brooks and his team here in Vegas. Jim's, you know, the top high-rise agent in Vegas. And I had the opportunity to spend all day with his team yesterday. And that's what Jim and I were emphasizing to the whole team. It's like, plug in. If you're not tapped into all of the resources inside of the Honey Badger Nation, you're missing out. And it's what does Tony always say? You're just not resourceful enough. Right. There's nothing that you can't solve. It's just that you haven't been resourceful enough.
That's right. And I told one of the girls that came in there, and, you know, she had been kind of missing in action. So you'll get those agents that don't show up for months, and then they're like, okay, I need like a Bobby boost, you know, like I need, you know, they want me. And I told him straight up, I was like, look, if you're looking for a psychiatrist, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to be this guy for you. I'm like, I need people who want to run. I'm like, cause I got to help you fix yourself, because I can't be always pulling you out of a hole. And then I told her, I was like, you know, I always say, like, I'm trying to leverage Tony Robbins. Like, dude, you need to go to Unleash the Power Within in November. And she's like, oh, but, you know, I got to pay for this and that, and I need a deal. I was like, baby, you just need one deal. I was like, so that was my prescription to her. I was like, I want everything I said before this, just wipe it away. You need to have one deal in the next 60 days in order to pay for your teeth that you were talking about, the dentist thing you were talking about, and to get a ticket to the Tony Robbins event. Let's just focus on that. And I had her focus on her sphere of influence and stuff. Dude, she texted me that very day, like, thanks so much for the talk. She's showing me her Dream 100. She already had 100 people on the list. They did that very day and just got shifted, because it's really simple. One deal. If you're just getting started, that one deal, and invest in yourself and go to an event. Hey, you need to be at EXPCon in October. How do you, rather than say, I don't have the money to pay for that, the question should be, how can I get the money to pay for that? It's a shift, right? So that's a simple prescription for somebody who's in that mindset. You got to tell a different story, because the money's right in front of them. They know people. they're great This girl was a great connector. She was just, you know, she had gone through some things. There was some family deaths and things like that. And she was kind of trying to pull herself out of that hole.
She was the bottleneck.
Yeah, she was a bottleneck there. And I told her, I said, look, there's a difference between sadness and suffering. Sadness is normal when these things like that happen. But if you perpetuate this by, you know, she said something out of her mouth. I said, you know, you just said that you feel like everybody around you is dying. I said, man, if you're saying that to yourself every day, I said, that's going to cause a lot of suffering and anxiety. I was like, and that's suffering. That's different from sadness. You can miss somebody, but how are you going to honor their life? Are you going to honor their life by, you think they want you to suffer? Right. Or do you think they want you to say, do everything you can with your days on earth, right?
And that's so powerful right there, because I think where a lot of people, you hear that, it's like, man, I can't be productive. It's like, well, no shit, you can't be productive because you keep saying that. And so when what we speak, we hear, and it creeps into the subconscious. And then, so that story's playing in the background, right? Yeah. That's that app that's running in the background that's draining our battery. Yeah. And it's going. So it's so important, right? That's why, you know, the vision boards, the incantations, the positive self-talk, it all goes because we hear it. And it creeps in the subconscious. And then that opens up the beliefs. Yeah. I always love so, you know, it's awareness and choice. And what I always look at is, and I missed this for the longest of times, and it's I forget where it was like the conscious leadership, to where they have just this simple formula. It's called above the line or below the line. Above the line is really that you're open. You're looking for solutions. You're looking for that type of growth mindset, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly what you are and what you're teaching and what you're coaching. And then it's below the line. Below the line is, like you were talking about a second ago, closed off. Right. Right. And not in scarcity mindset. They're not open to improve. And so for the longest time, it's like, man, I'm creating this awareness. So, I'm aware of that. And then I can make a choice. But the step that I missed for the longest of times is that, okay, well, I'm aware that I'm thinking this way. Am I, and so obviously if I'm thinking in a negative light, negative way, negative self-talk, I have to be aware and determine, like, oh shit, I'm below the line. Yeah. But where I missed is that, do I accept that I'm below the line? Because if you don't accept it, then you really don't own it, to where then you can't make the best choice. But now you're like, man, shit, yeah, I own it, right? Right. I take ownership in having that negative thought. I'm going to do everything now with my choice moving forward, to where I'm not going to. It's just that subtle.
But you can be aware of it, but not actually own it.
Exactly.
Interesting. And it's funny you mentioned that. Like, you know, when I talked about the breathing thing, I learned that through my buddy Michael Coffey, and I went and visited him. He's kind of I call him like my shaman. He's like a spiritual guide, you know, and he's the one that taught me about the breathing. But we talked about awareness, right? Because this is the deal, guys. You're not going to be able to fix people, but if you can show them how to be aware, they can fix themselves. And one story he told me one time that I thought was brilliant, and he said, you know, when a pilot, you know, goes up in the air, they put the coordinates to where they're going, right, and they put it on autopilot. Now, autopilot knows the most efficient way to get from A to B. But the thing is that the autopilot's not perfect. It's going to run into winds. It's going to get off the line. Sure. It has the efficient line, but it's going to get off the line. The difference between autopilot is the fact that it recognizes it and pulls itself back to the center faster, right? So it's not that, you know, you can't look at a Kitchens, you can't look at a Gil Ramos and say, oh, well, they just got it together. No, this is years and years of learning how to be aware. 100%. And guess what? We screw up all the time. The difference is this: are you pulling yourself back to the center quickly? Right. Or are you letting those be really highs and lows where you're having to really pull somebody up from there? And if you can eliminate the highs and lows, people think like, oh, how does Bobby stay positive all the time? I'm like, because I reframe it quick. You know, I don't suffer for long. You know, I always tell people, it doesn't take a lot of energy and intelligence to point out a problem. Right. I mean, it takes 3 seconds to do that. Right. So if you keep repeating to me the problem, you're perpetuating the story. I'm over the problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking solution.
I'm thinking solution. Immediately going solution.
Here's a breathing trick that it's not a trick. I mean, it works every time. And I always catch people, and it's like when they're kind of spiraling and shit. It's like, hey, take a breath. When you take that breath, what it does is it puts you in a conscious state. Now you have the awareness. Like, okay, oh shit, okay, I was spiraling. Do I accept it? Yeah, I own it. I have a spiraling. I know what caused it, and then I'm on to solutions. Yep. So that's the power of, breathing. Not only what you're sharing, but how you can use that to pull you out of any type of spiral or whatever negative self-doubt.
It sounds funny, but breathing is important. It's really important. No, but seriously, the foundation of awareness is the breathing. So if you're breathing in and out through your nose and through your diaphragm, the way you were meant to breathe, the way babies breathe, you know, their little stomachs go up, not their chest, right? So you're breathing through that, then you're looking for the space in between your breaths. And like you said, sometimes when you get into that anxious state, you're holding your breath, you're tightening up. And the minute you're aware of it, and you just take, boom, you go back into that present state and you're like, I can make a better decision.
Yes.
And by the way, this works in, you know, if you have a spouse, if you have relationships, because people will take you out of your space. You know, you'll be in there in the flow and somebody comes in with a certain energy and an attitude. And if you just react to it, man, you're going to be in a world of trouble. But if you're able to say, hey, I'm going to take a breath.
Yeah.
Let me breathe a couple times and then look at this problem, let things flow a little bit. You know, one little pro tip is I love pro tip. I stole that from you guys. One pro tip that I always say is a lot of issues in real estate are solved themselves in 48 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes you hop into this like frantic action when a real estate deal gets messy or when something gets messy. And sometimes you just need to just say, take a breath and say, you know, I might let this give a few hours to breathe. And a lot of times it just solves itself.
It's amazing,
you know, just because you didn't put that energy on it, you know?
So I want to wrap up. Man, so where did the franchise name come from?
So this is funny. Okay, guys. So I don't know if you guys saw the music video, but we had a lot of fun. I actually got into the entertainment industry after college. I thought, you know, I was in mortgages, but in the background, I was like, I'm going to be like a rap star, or I'm going to be a label owner or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. So I started a company called Fourth Quarter Entertainment. Well, as you know, one of the funnest parts about doing hip hop and rap is that you get to come up with your own AKAs, right? So, you know, and a lot of rappers have like 5 AKAs, you know, they got, like, you know, Puff Daddy, P Diddy, you know, Sean Combs, whatever. Yeah. So I was like, you know, what's going to be mine? You know, when I was younger, everybody used to call me Bobby D, and I'm like, but that's pretty common. You know what I'm saying? So there was this time that the Orlando Magic, the basketball team, had a player named Steve Francis.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And he had come in, I forgot where he used to play. Like
he played in
Houston. And then he came over to the Magic and they used to call him Stevie Franchise. Right. And I thought that was so cool because it was named after the franchise player. So that's like the guy you go to when it's like 3 seconds left. He's the franchise guy. It's like a LeBron James type of guy. Right. And I just love the name Stevie Franchise. And I get my best ideas in the shower. And then one day I was in the shower and I was like, Bobby Franchise. I was like, I'm like, I like the way that sounds, man. And then, you know, like everything else, I just test it out. And if it sticks, it sticks. You know, we got Vince.
It's the persona, man.
Dude, I love doing it. I do it for other people.
And it can trigger you too, man. It's so important, right? Creating that persona to where like it can trigger you into like, man, I've got to make the right decision.
Yeah,
right?
And especially if you're getting out of a different state and you say, hey, look, you know, if I create a different persona, I can build this person the way that I want him to be. Like, you know, the franchise is a different character, right? You know, there's Bobby Davidowitz, but then there's the franchise, you know, and that's a certain kind of swag that goes with it. So I love it. You know, I got inside is a guy named Vince Koo, who was the #1 exit realty broker in New York. And one of them, I think it was a Honey Badger message, I started saying Koo York City. You know, Koo York City. And I was like, man, I want this to catch. And then I look at him today, he walks in with his EXP badge. It says Koo York City. Yeah. And that's what everybody calls him now, right?
Yep.
But you can see he takes pride in that.
He does, man.
He takes some pride in that. He owns it. So it's cool, man. That's where the franchise came from, man.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you, man. This has been an awesome episode. Man, hopefully, you know, you guys had the notepad and taking tons of nuggets. I took nuggets, and I do every one of these episodes, but man, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for the opportunity. Honey Badger Nation. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Sweet.